A composition in Calmus is based on a musical object. It can be 1 up to 50 objects in each composition. A musical object has a position in time, pitch, and also a duration. It can be edited and manipulated and constructed from scratch in Calmus. This is a musical object in Calmus. It has a position in time, which can be seen here, and also duration, and the time position is 0 as it is now. It contains 3 melodies, and each melody contains a musical cells, which can be seen here. Each object can be edited, like here, changing the duration of the object to 40 seconds. It can be duplicated, and here we have a new example of the original object, which can be edited. The harmony can be changed, the polyphonic can change, and all the musical content can be changed. There are 2 ways of saving the object. One is to save it to a personal library called My Library in the program, and the second one is to export it to a disk, to other programs or to other users. To save it to a personal library, this is the button, and we give it a certain name like object number 4. It's a good name. And then it will appear in this folder here, which is called My Library, that the composer can use it again and again and maybe again. The second one is to export it and save it on a disk, like here. So we call this object 4.cmo, and this means it can be imported to other programs or to other users of Calmus composers, and for example to use it in Calmus games, where this object can be imported to a computer game, and the computer game will use this as a music for itself or for the game. Music composed with Calmus can be exported to other programs with MIDI files. Here we have a short composition with Calmus containing 5 musical objects, and by selecting all the objects, clicking here on the window, all objects are green, we press the M button, the MIDI file button here, to export it to other programs through MIDI files. And we do it here as a com3.mid, and we put it on the desktop. And we go to Sibelius and see if we can find it here. Here it is. And now it should open here as a notated program. Here we have the composition we just made here, second part of it, and then etc. It's also possible to export each object, but here we are exporting all the object, the whole composition, in one click of a button. So in Calmus we have several object controllers, and with these controllers we can manipulate, we can change or modify the object. Here we have the first object we did in the beginning. Very romantic. And we can now, instead of the strings, we can change their orchestration. We can change it into woodwinds, like here. Now we have woodwinds. Very old instruments. But we can also change the sound. Like here, we can have it like in space. It's the same instruments, but the different sounds. Or we can go with the same object into church and see what happens if we put an organ to it and some strings. So the orchestration is divided in 3 parts. This is the main instrumentation. We have here the organ, but we can add instrument with this orchestration part here. We can also add some woodwinds here, and it will sound like this. Or we can change it just in strings and have only the strings here. It's the strings in a church. These 2 sections are to orchestrate and blend together different kind of instruments like woodwinds or strings or anything which is similar. But here is a new thing which is called decoration. And the decoration is adding extra notes to existing note which has been composed here. And it can be done by putting it to a one melody or all melodies like we are doing here. So if we will take this one and we will just add octaves to this, and let's see what this will do. Maybe to have it more clear, we can put percussion and add some strings to it, then maybe we can hear more of it. So here the program is composing extra notes into existing notes and making some variations of the existing objects. There are 2 options here in the orchestration. One is called exclude input cell and the other one is called auto orchestration. This option called exclude input cell means that all the material that the user, the composer, put into the program for the composition will be excluded, but all the material that the program composed will remain. The second one is auto arrangement. By selecting this object, the program will start to work on selected object and modify it, rearrange the orchestration, change all the scales, change all the input material, exclude something, and create new variation of the object every time it will recompose it. So for a composer which is working on a new musical material, he can just select these options and let the program come up with new possibilities and new ways and new music just from his initial idea. In Calmus we have 8 sound banks which are containing different kind of sounds. For example, as can be seen here, we have classical instrument and a choir. We have space, we have sounds connected to films, and then we have something which is connected to church. And here we have the church. And we can change it into more classical. And so on. These sound banks are constructed with sound files, and we are using a special format which is called sound fonts. It is also possible to load sound banks into the system, and then everybody can create their own sound banks and use it in a composition.